no wonder that I ended up in a lot of people do know that I ended up in a domestic violence relationship. However, what I tell people is, if you heard the internal dialogue of what I was telling myself, I was only confirming that through the relationships that I had all around me. And I see this with a lot of people who come into my proximity, and I do a lot of mirror work with people, or I have a big mirror in my office space. And if someone says, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror, and I'm like, so what do you say to yourself? How do you love yourself? How are your relationships around you? How do people treat you? And it's those deep conversations and asking those deep questions to say what's actually really going on. What are you actually really telling yourself? Learning to respond rather than react is a big one. And that is your 1% better. Maybe that's 90% better because you react to some people react to everything that happens negatively, because there's always going to be something negative that happens, or a problem. There's always problems and mistakes that happen every single day. And it's a matter of you strategizing. And it's how you're responding rather than reacting, and how you're coming from a place of calm and groundedness, because that's great leadership as well, is learning not to react. Yeah, we can go off our heads and all of that, but if you just let that go, then you're going to be much more peaceful than the person that's really reactive to everything that happens all the time. I ticked all the boxes like every person thinks they need to tick. Get the job, get the car, get the white picket fence, get the husband, get the child. I had all of those things. And when people ask me, man, you're so successful. When I looked back on that at that time, I did not feel fulfilled. And there's a quote from Tony Robbins that I always quote: success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So I ticked all of these boxes. However, I didn't feel a sense of happiness. I didn't feel fulfilled. And I was like, right, I've got to the top. Now what?
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is a living proof that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a way of life. Known as a Dr. Gratitude, she's a multi-award-winning author, international speaker, and the visionary behind the gratitude method. After losing everything twice, she committed to 365 days of gratitude, and that decision sparked a global movement. Super excited to have her here. Welcome to the show, Alicia Anne Wade. Hello, Alice.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me this evening here to have a chat with you. I know we met prior to this, so it's always a pleasure catching up with you and having another chat with you.
That's awesome. I really excited for this conversation. We had so much fun before, as you mentioned, and I have prepared lots of questions and lots of topics that I would love to go through with you, because you are a really interesting person, and the way that you see the type of living, how we're supposed to live with using gratitude in lots of areas is really inspiring, and I would love to hear like how did you get into there and so on. But before we jump into any of those topics and diving deep into that, I would love to hear, and all the listeners would love to hear, like, how did you get into entrepreneurship? Tell us the story behind it. How did you, when did it actually happen that you realized that the ordinary world is not actually the way you want to live?
Great question. And I get asked this all the time, like why and how and what is the story behind it. I even have a market store where I sell t-shirts and apparel with gratitude and grateful heart. And people are like, there's got to be a story. Like, tell me your story. And so it all began when I was first born. No, we won't go that far. I won't bore you with the simple details. It was 2015, and I always remember the year. 2015, I always get people to imagine a really dark hole, no light at the end of the tunnel, heavy, black, dark, lost, out of control, no light at the end of the tunnel. And I get people to feel it, imagine it, and really step into a moment like that. And then feel that and know that was my life. My life from when I was younger, bullied, sat outside of school, not knowing how to read and write, feeling out of place in the school system, then going into high school, getting caught up in the wrong sort of crowds, alcohol, drugs, the party scene, clubbing at the age of 12. And then after high school, I just wanted to find the one and find myself. So I moved interstate, tried to find myself, but the problems still followed me. Tried to find the one, and then try to change them, and then realized that I needed to change myself. And with all of those compounding negative effects happening, it was like a compound effect, because I was focusing on the negative in my personal life. Career was very successful, Educator of the Year 2013, and I guess that's what kept me moving forward, or I would not be here. I had miscarriages, I had abortions, those negative things, like, it did really impact my life. Mm-hmm. I ticked all the boxes like every person thinks they need to tick. Get the job, get the car, get the white picket fence, get the husband, get the child. I had all of those things. And when people ask me, man, you're so successful, when I looked back on that and that time, I did not feel fulfilled. And there's a quote from Tony Robbins that I always quote: success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So I ticked all of these boxes. However, I didn't feel a sense of happiness. I didn't feel fulfilled. And I was like, right, I've got to the top. Now what? And so I was searching for deeper meaning and a sense of fulfillment, life satisfaction, optimism, and happiness. When I look back to 2015, it was happiness that I just wanted. How can I be happy? Because I was not happy with what I had created around the world, around me. And so I started doing things out of my comfort zone. I read a book called The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin, which is a very famous author in America. And there was a journal that went with it called the Happiness Journal. And there was gratitude in there. I wasn't consciously aware that I was doing it, but I was writing down what I was grateful for. It started off once a month. Then it started off doing it daily over the years that passed by. And I started to do things out of my comfort zone. With that journal, I did 3 things out of my comfort zone that were new, that I never have done before. And I realized the things that I thought I couldn't do, I started to realize that I could do it, that the impossible became possible. Mm-hmm. And then I started to go a little bit deeper, go into my coaching journey, look at human behavior. Why does the mind think the way it does and think straight away into the negative? How can we create a positive mindset? How can we change our neuro pathways? And it got me really curious to how human behavior actually worked. And then crazy idea came up to create a gratitude journal, because that was something that I was creating and I wanted to write a book. So I created a gratitude journal, cost me $59.95 to make. I was selling them for $49.95, so I was losing money straight away. However, I knew that I wanted to figure out how these things worked. I started to become more curious in the world rather than living that automation life of Groundhog Day, being in the corporate world, 9 to 5, waking up, tick, done the day. So I then created 100 journals, and I found a publishing printing house, and they printed 100 for me, and I was able to distribute them to 6 countries. And then I realized that I was onto something, because everybody wanted a piece of it. And I'm going, man, this gratitude stuff's really cool. Then I started to receive messages. Alicia, your gratitude journals helped me. Every morning I pick it up and I flick it to a day, and it will have a quote there. And every quote that is in that journal is a defining moment of when I had my mental breakdown from 2015 up until 2018 when I published that book. Started to receive private messages also to say that, Alicia, I was going to end my life. I saw your journal and I started to appreciate and be grateful for what I actually have, not with what I don't have. And that was the defining moment and the pinnacle moment of me going, okay, I really need to look deeper into gratitude. What does this actually mean for humankind? What does it actually mean when we actually practice it? What does it actually mean when people actually feel it? So I went to some conferences, and a big conference, Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within, and he has his priming. And it was there that I got to feel it in my heart. And I cried the first time doing his priming. I cried for 2 hours after, because I experienced the feeling of love. I was so shut down and so shut off with the world because of all the things that I had experienced in life. And to feel love and appreciation, it completely transformed my life. And I was like, I want to pass this on to others who probably are experiencing the same things as me. You turn on the TV, there's negativity. You turn on this, you turn on that. Where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows. And I have that massive belief. So I'm like, right, I need to focus on more positivity, block out everything. I do not have a TV in my bedroom. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV since 2015. I may watch it from time to time, but that's very rare. So when I meet friends and stuff and they say, hey, you want to come to the movies? I'm like, oh, those friends that do know me know I don't like that. It's either food or going out and hiking and having experiences. Because when you're with people, you want to connect, you want to communicate. Sitting in front of a big, huge screen, we're losing that connection with each other. So that has been the start of my journey. And since then, I've found different ways on how to cultivate gratitude, on how to practice it. I even have a card right now that I get everybody to write on what they're grateful for. And I get all walks of life. I get people who have, additional needs. So some people in their wheelchairs, some people who can't walk. I have children. I have grandmas and children. I have families. I have teenagers in my town. There's an ongoing thing in the news, in the media, that, there's huge youth crime, and the youth are so bad and so, terrible. They do all this illegal stuff. But I have some that write, God bless you. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for my mum. I'm grateful for this person. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to see a sunrise, a sunset. And so I challenge those who focus on the negativity. Yes, you'll breed that negativity. However, when you have that glimmer of positivity and focus on that, it starts to glow and grow. And so my purpose and my legacy is to live an attitude of gratitude. And I absolutely 250%, maybe even more, I can't even put a number on it, want to spread that worldwide so people can have life satisfaction. I even have a tattoo on my arm that says happiness is a journey, not a destination. So stop chasing, stop ticking off those boxes and start appreciating for the present moment, past, present, or future. And that will help you with rewiring your mind. And the research shows that you can't have a negative mindset and a positive mindset at the same time. Neurologically, our brains are not wired for it. And when we do drop into gratitude, our brain just lights up like a Christmas tree. Oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. Those are words that have just finally, I've remembered them in my world, because I was like, I need to remember those. And it's really nice to know all of these words. And as I start to go deeper and deeper into it, it's been amazing. I've even created 365 days of gratitude, which I made a commitment last year, and I finished that in March this year. I skipped one day, but I read my journal. I read the quote in there, and I also gave an activity to help people through that process. And so I will be publishing a textbook from that, so people know what the gratitude method is.
Super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Awesome. But prior all of this, I would love to go a little bit at the beginning. What made you realize that, this is not the way, you would like to follow, like the traditional script that we've been handed? Like, what it made you to actually, what was the internal thing that made you to realize or shift the trajectory of the way we've been taught to live?
Shift the way I live. What comes into my mind right now is life is not a straight road. It's not a straight way. And life is going to be ups and downs. And however you want to make meaning on your life, resilience is really hard for people to build. We talk about mental health and well-being and depression and anxiety, when in actual fact, it's building resilience into others. Gratitude has that. And when I lost everything in 2015, I also lost it in 2021. And I know you said twice. Last year, I also lost elections by 200 votes with a friend who died by suicide. However, I dropped into gratitude and I saw the blessings rather than the suffering. And it helped me to get out of the suffering much more quicker because I'd been practicing gratitude. So what took me in 2015, it took like 18 months for me to feel better. And now it's like, feel the feelings, yes, express it and let it go, and then see the blessings for what I always say to people. You know, we have feelings and emotions, and it's important to have that. There's a trend of toxic positivity, and yes, and this is why I also teach people, feel it, breathe it, name it, let it go, and then drop into the gratitude practices, and that speeds up the process more. So I guess from looking at it from that perspective on how it's shifted me and why I'm so passionate about it is because I didn't have to go on depression tablets. I didn't have to take medication. I'm not saying that others should do that. Like, I'm not condoning that, but I didn't want to fall into that trap of doing that, because I had family members say, you need to go on depression tablets, because it was the quick fix. And I went, there's got to be a holistic way of doing things. And so when I started to do this daily practice, miracles occurred. And now the stuff that I'm filtering through within my life has been profound. The end of this year, I'm going to Boston, meeting with doctors, researchers, philosophers who created positive psychology. And because I've been very, very committed to gratitude every single night, even when I wake up, I do my gratitudes. Even when I eat my food, I'm grateful for the food that I have that is presented to me. And right now I'm not at home. We were talking before, I'm in Bali. The food here is absolutely beautiful, and you can just feel the love that has been poured into it, and I just am grateful for the food that's in front of me, grateful for my body that's able to move. And that's what's shifted. Like, it's not just to write 3 things down, it's how can I find the blessings in every single moment. And when you're able to drop into that, your energy, like people say, when you walk into a room, people can feel your energy. People always say, I can, like, wow, whoa, like I always get, whoa, I've got big energy. I do know, I understand that. And it's continuing to pour that out to others so they can feel and experience it too. So what's the shift? That's the shift. It's that feeling, it's that emotion. And who doesn't want to be happy at the end of the day?
Yeah, so powerful. Love it so much. Because we are talking here, like, when it comes to gratitude and everything like that, it's like, this is the piece of mindset of becoming of us, right? Becoming the person that can do the thing and have the thing, because that's all coming back to the be, do, have. And most of the people have it from the wrong side, right? They always start with the have instead of starting with becoming the person to be able to have those things and do those things. So, but that prior to that, I would love to go even like really at your beginning, because you said, you had like really struggle childhood and so on. I can relate to that really hard. Bullying in school and so on, always dreaming, always completely out of the room, basically. People being like, oh, everybody most of the time in just like, like already at that age, it seemed to me that being locked into those boxes, and I've been still like kind of out of the whole room and the whole type of programming that created in the school environment. And I've been so many times said that, like, for example, like one of the teacher told me that I'm like Alice in Wonderland, that I'm always like dreaming about whatever I can, right? And that was like it all being like the way that I've been growing up. Basically, it was already shifted a kind of bit, because I've been like, when I heard different, opinions from different people and so on, and also see my parents struggling super hard from the child when I was child. 3 jobs, working super hard to just get by. I've been raised by my grandparents. I couldn't even see them properly. So all that thing start shifting for me, the way that I saw how I should live the life. And when I finish my school, I saw that the same path is pretty much like I'm setting up for the same path as them. And I didn't want to, so I moved to different country, and that was like, I hopefully in different country I'm going to get, different type of way of living or so on. So I would love to know more about like how was your childhood, how your childhood looked like, and what was the script kind of thing, or like success look like when you've been kid, and who you supposed to become to be like, validated kind of thing in front of your parents or others, or the community around yourself, or yeah.
All right, so huge question there. So yes, I was teased a lot. So I was the fat child. So I could say I didn't fall into the category of being the fit kid or very athletic. I was the overweight child. And then on top of that was the dyslexia. I was still a very happy-go-lucky child. So if you were to look at how I was, and with some of my primary school friends, because I was still in contact with one up until the age of 30, and he said, I used to tease you because you were just always happy.
Wow.
And so this is, yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
he actually said he was sorry to me. He goes, I actually wasn't happy in life. And I went, oh my gosh. And this is when I started to realize in my 30s and 40s that people project what they're feeling to bring others down. And I realized that it wasn't me, it was others and how they felt. So being the victim of bullying was hard to go through because it happened all the way through. Even in high school, I got teased by some of the girls as well. And stats say that 99% of children in primary and high school get bullied at some time in their life. So 99% is a massive, massive percentage.
Yeah.
And I guess because of listening to those affirmations, words have power. Words have energy. And so I created these mantras that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy, that I was ugly, and I created those. And interesting, because my top love language is words of affirmation, hence the reason why my car is covered with words of affirmation. My family do not do words of affirmation in the household either. So it's a lot of derogative words and stuff and taking the piss, which is an Aussie culture type thing as well. So that was being created as well. And so it was no wonder that I ended up in a lot of people do know that I ended up in a domestic violence relationship. However, what I tell people is if you heard the internal dialogue of what I was telling myself, I was only confirming that through the relationships that I had all around me. And I see this with a lot of people who come into my proximity, and I do a lot of mirror work with people, or I have a big mirror in my office space. And if someone says, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror, and I'm like, so what do you say to yourself? How do you love yourself? How are your relationships around you? How do people treat you? And it's those deep conversations and asking those deep questions to say what's actually really going on. What are you actually really telling yourself? Oh, yeah, I tell them. No, what do you really say to yourself when you look in the mirror? We all have that itty bitty pity party, as I call it. There's a book that I published on Game On, so creating your inner mental mastery, because that itty bitty pity party does come out to play. And it's how you take yourself out of that and then have those conversations with yourself. Is this really true? Is this story really true that I'm telling myself? Am I really going to buy into this story that I'm telling myself? What evidence do I have to prove that? And what evidence do I have that it's not actually happening? And then you start to unpack that and go deeper where these stories are being created and what has been happening. And that's what's been helping me. And that's what's shifted. And that's what's made me realize with all the things that have happened, I started to realize that I needed better boundaries in my life. I realized that I was people pleasing because, when getting bullied, you don't want to get hurt. So how can I please that person for the sake of my own happiness? So then that way they approve of me. And I see this a lot in a lot of relationships, how a lot of people forsake their happiness to give someone else happiness. And those are being keys too.
So true.
I then wanted to change people as well because I wanted to have some sense of control. And then I got into leadership as well to have control, so to speak, to tell people what to do because people listen to leaders. Yeah. And then I realized I started micromanaging in my own leadership career. And that's when things started to topple down because I tried to have control of everything. And I realized that I needed to take that step back and go, right, this isn't working. The way that I'm running and operating things is not working whatsoever. Me trying to micromanage, like I even went, And this was only taught because of teachers, like art teachers, for instance, or teachers redoing your work. And then I was going and redoing other people's work. But then I realized, hold on a second, that used to make me upset. How are other people feeling when I'm doing that to people? I could go on and on about things that I've learned over time and how I've had self-actualization and self-realization and realizing these parts of me that I've had to work on, the shadow part, the negative stuff, the positive stuff. However, the biggest one was self-forgiveness. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people in their life. Self-forgiveness, self-love, and being grateful for what has happened in your life. Now, I'm not saying be grateful and forgive for everything in your life. There are things that, you do not condone acts of violence or abuse or anything like that. But forgiving yourself and setting yourself free, loving yourself, looking and appreciating everything about you, because we're all pretty amazing people. When we dissect what we've done in our life, the education, the life experience, the connections, the journey, the experiences, what we've been exposed to or not exposed to, we're pretty complex. And acknowledging and giving ourselves that sense of appreciation and stepping back is massive. And a lot of people don't do that. They delete, distort, generalize, as we've learned, and forget about things that have happened in life. And that's what's really, really opened up my eyes on what I've learned and what going deeper into it. And I really love this question. I haven't had this question asked before, so I really love it because it allows people to open up their eyes on what is. What's created you to get to here? Do you remember? Do you recall? Can you unpack that for me?
So good. Yeah, really, really love it so much. When it comes to, like being, well, I have a really great thought. And the thought, I'm not sure now if this was related to this topic, but there was a thing that I really stuck with me when you actually share this, the story. And there was something that was like people when they when people talk about like the self-worth and everything what is happening, like they taking other people opinions and so on, like from like how they been presenting kind of themselves in front of others. And there are like I'm not sure, are you a Christian or are you do you believe in God or you don't at all?
Great question. I get asked this all the time. I did get rebaptized. I was brought up Catholic, and then I did a rebaptism in, I'm trying to remember if it was last year or if it was in 2023. However, I like to say that I'm omnist, and it's not a religion. I believe all religions and cultures serve a purpose. Now, if I was to look at how many religions there are in the world, there's over 1,300 and something religions. And every culture that I touch or interact with, I learn something new on how to be my best self and how to be a better human. And when I look at different beliefs, I believe that there is something bigger than us. Whether that's God, Allah, whatever you believe in, I do believe that there is something bigger than us. And it's not, we don't have the plan. There's a plan out there because I've tried to follow a plan and the plan never works. And something else will happen. So yeah, I am omnis. I haven't really announced that, but when people do ask me, that's what I do believe. Because if I was to delete stuff that I've learned in my journey, I'd be ignorant and to what has helped me heal parts of me and on my journey. Because I know Christians don't like hypnotists, they don't like Reiki masters, they don't like this, and it becomes very regimented and very strict. However, those things have helped me to get to here. And then I've interacted with people who have Muslim beliefs, Jewish, Hinduism, and I learned so much stuff and philosophies from these people that It's absolutely amazing. And through my Masters of Applied Positive Psychology, I've actually fallen upon Stoicism as well. And I love Stoicism because it's all about what you can control, and not what you can't control, and looking at those philosophies as well. So I think if I was to put my box in Christianity, I think I'd be very ignorant to all the stuff that I have been learning, because those teachings, those insights help others who may not believe in Christianity, for instance, but in other ways to help them to be their best self, because there's some people who don't believe in it or have had horrible things that have happened through religion and institutions, and I will say that. So we've got to look at other ways on how we can help people so they can find ways to have peace in their life.
Yeah, totally. But I believe in God. I have been always like completely confused about what is this piece all about when I've been growing up. But I've been raised in the environment like Christianity and so on, so going to church and so. But I never understood what actually means. But the conversation that I wanted to broad was that the thing that helped me to actually like get out of my way from what you've been sharing, like, taking care of like what other people think about me and so on. It came back to and me studying about uh, reading Bible and so on, because when it comes to that, it's very interesting. Like this type of thing is a really interesting topic to talk about, because like, God created us, everybody's equal, right? He created us powerful. He created us like in the reflection of himself, kind of thing, like I would say, or what he basically mentioned in the Bible. So if somebody tells you who you are, and he's trying to like, he's using the word like, that actually put you down, it's because that person is not feeling comfortable in front of you, and he has some type of, I don't know what's the word, but like insecurities, I would say, or something like that in front of you, right? So he's trying to put you down to feel better, more valid, or so on. But that what he said doesn't mean that it's true, because the most funny thing is that those people don't even know you, because they usually know you the least. And the other thing is that if he doesn't know who he is, that person that telling you, because God tell us who we are, right? So he doesn't know even who he is, how he can know that who you are. So when I realized that I am, and nobody else can determine that, only God. That's it. From that,
I love this, and I want to expand on what you have said. Nothing has meaning unless the meaning that you put on it, positive or negative, it's truly up to you what you decide. And it's all a decision and a choice at the end of the day too. So I am who I am. That's a choice and a decision that you've made, which is fantastic. Yeah. And then remembering that nothing has meaning unless the meaning you want to put on it. So if you want to put a negative connotation to it, go right ahead. And the other thing that pops in my mind is there's something else that comes up to in my mind, and I'm going to bounce off of this. I know God's been speaking to me since about probably 2015. It was yells, as I call it. Yells, and now it's like little whispers and nudges and little signs everywhere. My first gratitude journal was created on the 25th of December in 2018. And if anyone knows what the 25th of December is, that's Jesus' birthday. The next book that I did, which was Dear God with Gratitude, 365 Days of Thankfulness to Transform Your World, that was created on Good Friday, and then I re-released it on Easter Sunday.
Wow. So cool.
Then I had a fear of getting a market stall. It took me 3 years to get a market stall. So I was talking about it, and I finally got it on Easter Saturday last year. And I'm like, this is why I've continued to do gratitude, because they've been happening on milestones of Jesus and his stories and his milestones. And they happen to be on the same day on when I've done stuff. And I've gone, oh, that's a bit uncanny. And to flip the switch on February 14th, because we know St. Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day, I actually sold my house in 2015, I think it was, on Valentine's Day. So it always had, like, the day that's meant to be celebrated of love was the day of mourning for me and so much negativity. So I actually ended up publishing a book just this year to change the weight of that. And I created the book Gratitude Vibes to raise the frequency on that day and celebrate being grateful for what actually happened for me, not to me, for me, because that was the day that that changed my life. When my house was sold, that was a pinnacle point in my life where my life was never the same. It was the day that I became single, divorced, going through that process and really truly finding who I am, what I believe in, who I need to be, what I need to do, and what I'm going to have as a result of everything. So yeah, there've been big milestones. So I know God, higher power, Holy Spirit has been talking through me, with me, in me. And it's the one thing that I love about gratitude, it doesn't discriminate, it doesn't divide, and it's a universal practice. If you look in every religious culture and belief, I love it so much because everybody practices it.
Yeah. Super powerful. Love it so much. Thank you for sharing this. This is awesome. And when it comes to all, like, I want to also tap into the, when you actually, like, realized who you supposed to be as a person, like, what it actually did it for you, like how you made it feel, how you've been, like, what that actually meant to you, that now the path that you're supposed to follow and how you should help people,
How I treat other people,
how you should help, like, when you realized, or when it show up to you, like the way that you're supposed to go and lead, basically, or what type of way you're supposed to follow, how did it make you, like, feel? And like, did you finally find something that is actually meant for you?
So I have this right. So I'm on the right tangent. Is this leading with gratitude?
Yeah. So when it all happened, like when you figure out and you start when you figure out the path that you supposed to follow, who you supposed to become, the person, what you're supposed to be, helping people with, how would that make you feel? How would this all piece change the way you've been living?
Definitely. In my leadership journey, because it has been quite interesting, and I did touch on me being a bit of a micromanager and trying to control everything, which you do see in a lot of hierarchy positions, is that control, that power. I walk with people. So when I am leading, it's not, and I'm currently training a team at the moment in another country with English as a second language. And instead of me talking at them and delivering, and I have a testimony from one of the employees here, they said, Alicia, your leadership, it's not like others and teaching people. You're not talking at people and telling them this is what you need to do and doing this. You walk with people, you collaborate, you connect, you see everybody. And I think this is what makes great leadership. And when you come from that space, when you look into a person, notice what you say to yourself. And this is one of the things that made a switch in my mind and my own leadership. Getting out of my head and dropping into my heart space was being curious to the other person, like, oh, I wonder what they're feeling. Oh, I'm sending them so much love. And I started to say positive things in my mind and concentrating on the connection as well. And I noticed that people say that, they're like, you look at me, so you really see me, like you're looking. Some people will either accept it, or others are like, wow, it's too much for me, because they haven't had that experience before or actually felt that. And when eye gazing is a thing, and when you eye gaze with someone, it's powerful. People feel that. People see you for you. And we've lost that as well. you'll notice I challenge people to have those conversations with people and see how many times people will look away or eye gaze with you. And there's very few people that do that. And it's one of those simple things that connect and send love to people. So when you're talking about who I need to be, it's holding space. It's allowing others to speak up. It's you keeping them, like, as a leader, sometimes it's better just not to say anything and listen and observe and hear what others have to say so they can be seen and heard, so they feel worthy and good enough. And when you take that step back on who you need to be as a leader, that's powerful. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
I find people, those that do lead, that talk a lot, like, and don't give any space for you to even say a word. I'm like going,
No, totally fine. Don't worry. No, you're completely fine. I love to hear your perspective and understand you, and also like how you actually see it and everything, like what is happening in your life. So this is like, I'm really always curious about like what is all happening. So I'm really grateful that you are here and sharing all of those, that knowledge and your expertise and everything what you've been through, because this is just super powerful and helpful for sure for lots of people who's listening. So yeah, you are completely fine. I'm totally like, and I love to have this type of conversation more when you can feel who actually is like, who is good at speaking, like who love to speak. And then when I have like different conversation with people who are not comfortable at speaking, you can see the differences. Like that, for example, I have to ask like bunch of questions and so on. But with you, it's so nice and so easy, because I love to like, and if I want to see something more like, or going deeper into some type of topic, it's just yeah, I love it. And when it comes to you, like, tell me, like, what is your biggest passion when it comes to, like, helping people and serving people? Why you doing this all, like, why you building this whole movement? What does it mean to you?
knowing that I'm going to get emotional. I didn't think I'd get emotional.
Wow.
I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. There's a lot of pain in the world. And to watch people smile, to watch people appreciate the simple things in life, even when you don't have anything. Like, I've lost everything 3 times in my life. Like last year when I lost elections, I was on $180 a fortnight. The only thing I could do was be grateful for everything around me, because there was a lot that I didn't have, and I could go on and on about what I didn't have, but I was grateful for what I actually had around me. And it was the simple things like my family, my daughter, the beach, the connections that I had in the community, the love and support from everyone that helped me. I couldn't believe how many people helped me. I also started a massive movement in my community called Women's Walk and Talk. I started a charity. We're up to 1.5k members. I know the first one we had 500 people interested, 60 people rock up, 60 women rock up. So it probably looked like a massive rally on there on the Esplanade walking. And it's simple things in life like that, having connection, having experiences. Over the last couple of weeks, it has been eye-opening for me, because I have extended my stay in Bali and I'm very grateful for it. And I guess with not much income coming through, because I am on a working holiday, so to speak. So I've left some clients in my hometown to do this, and I'm still able to live. I'm so grateful for the experiences. And a lot of people don't know that I actually had a fear of traveling. So the first time I came to Bali, I pretty much went to the office and went back into my room and didn't really explore, because I was so scared. First time on a bike, I looked up, and then every time I did go on a bike here, because that's the main form of transport, I would hold my lips like this, and I ended up with cuts in because I was so scared, because I thought I was going to die. So most of my life, I've either thought either I'm going to die and that's it, or I'll live to tell the story. So I had this all in or nothing approach with life. So I've only been to 3 countries, or well, I've only had 3 countries in my proximity, Australia, Bali, and USA. And as I told you, I'm now traveling a little bit more. And I just want people to go out and experience things and experience the gratitude, experience and be grateful for it. I think a lot of people take a lot of things for granted, like going into another country, experiencing the things in the country. A lot of people go, oh, this place is, ugh. And it's like, hold on a second, you're coming into a space. What can you actually see here that's beautiful? I've tried so many different types of foods, and that's all because, you know, I've tried that 3 things out of my comfort zone. And I started to get to know the country a little bit better. And I realized that this country isn't, the world isn't as bad as what it's perceived to be, because I was conditioned that way too. And so my mission and my goal in life is for people to have an attitude of gratitude. Everywhere I go here in Bali, for instance, everyone says thank you. Even if it's thank you or sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. And I go back, and I don't, like, I live in a kind town. It was named one of the kindest towns, but there's still people that complain. There's still people that, you know, I don't think I have heard, I have an Indonesian team here. I don't think I've heard them complain once. They're always grateful and thankful for everything. And I think a lot of people have lost that in Western society, is being appreciative for everything. We have a lot of stuff. And I was talking about this over the last 6 weeks, is the entitlement some people have, especially younger generation, but also your older generation, because, you know, they've done everything in life and they're entitled to be that way. And some people forget just to step back, be a little bit more humble, and be appreciative for everything that's happening around. And I think when you bring that into your world, you start to be more kinder to people. We start to bring more peace. There's enough war going on. So my mission is to have that happiness, have that appreciation, have more connection, have more love, because who doesn't love love?
Yeah, so powerful. You know, I've been actually recently listening, based on what you are saying. I've been listening Jim Rohn most of the time. I'm loving Jim Rohn so much, and Myron Golden about mindset and so on. And Jim Rohn said something really powerful that it stuck with me for, I think it's just been reminded that again today actually. And that quote was basically that the important is not that you live, but how you live, right? Because there can be ways of living like that, you know, we're going to live safe and so on, like those, but how people are like basically telling us or programming us to play safe, don't risk, and blah blah, those type of things. But when it comes to the really core, like what is all happened, like when you've been born, that was risky, you know. When you, like, literally, if you travel, that's risky. Everything is pretty much risky when you, like, you know. And it all comes to the thing that, like, we are seeking, like, if you would be just hiding behind and everybody like would do something for you, they would take care about you, you're going to live to 100 years or whatever, but you would have any experiences in your life, would that be successful life, or would it be like boring life? You know what I mean? So it just reminded me that the life is not about being, you know, like secure or whatever. It's about the adventures and about the experiences that we are having. Because if we are not going to do risky stuff, basically, it's going to be just boring, and, you know, you won't enjoy the life on the fullest potential, basically. And that's pretty much what we are taught from the beginning, that we shouldn't risk, we should play safe, we should be like
and work hard. The other one that is
yeah,
really important, I see a lot of CEOs, leaders working. And then when you actually take them away from work and actually let go and enjoy and explore. And I'm so grateful for my business partner, because he pushed me to come to Bali. He's like, you have to come to Bali, book your ticket. And now I've been here 3 times with the extended leave. And it's like, what have I been doing? Because I am a workaholic as well. So I'm still working on that. And I know a lot of people out there are working on that what that work-life balance is. It's not work-life balance. It's how can you live with intent and experience life through the day. I now look at it and go, okay, well, what's the one thing I want to achieve today? And what's one thing that I want to experience too? And I think if you play life like that, you'll be much more fulfilled because you'll have that sense of happiness and gratitude.
So much. Yeah. So good. And when it comes to becoming the person to be able to, do and have the success, basically, what would you say that is the most important, or how we actually achieve, or like how we going to achieve to be able to becoming a better person, at least 1% each day? What would be the focus of yours to becoming like the person? What do you actually imply, like applying in your life and so on?
So what do I actually apply? So then that way I'm living and breathing the gratitude. Is that what we're getting at?
What you bring in gratitude, and like that you becoming the better version of yourself every day, like at least 1% of it.
Yeah. Learning to respond rather than react is a big one. And that is your 1% better. Maybe that's 90% better because you react to some people react to everything that happens negatively, because there's always going to be something negative that happens or a problem. There's always problems and mistakes that happen every single day. And it's a matter of you strategizing. And it's how you're responding rather than reacting, and how you're coming from a place of calm and groundedness, because that's great leadership as well, is learning not to react. Yeah, we can go off our heads and all of that, but if you just let that go, then you're going to be much more peaceful than the person that's really reactive to everything that happens all the time. Oh my God, that person did that mistake and come on, we're all human. We do have those things that happen within the workplace with team members, or a family member said something and you're like, how dare they say that about me? Or my partner did this, and it's working through how can you respond and come from I always have there's a question that comes up in my mind all the time. How would love respond or react to this? And when you ask that question to yourself, well, then you can't really react, because if you react with anger, frustration, that's not coming from love. And if you truly love someone, you won't do the negative things that that do tend to pop up. So that would help that 1%. Hey,
it's coming to me would you agree on this? It's coming to me that to becoming peace is really about being intentional about everything what you do in your life.
Yeah.
Like being intentional.
And it's not, really. And I want to do a precursor, because it can then become you can become over, what's the word? Not overcritical, but
reacted? Or?
No, I'm thinking more like obsessive. It's not being obsessive over controlling everything. And because some people will go, oh, well, then I won't react and respond, and then it becomes really obsessive. It's a groundedness. It is a feeling, because you'll know when you've hit that spot when you have done it. And it's knowing that it's all coming from a good space rather than that control and the because that's what I want to because sometimes people go, oh, well, I'm not going to react and respond. That's great, but what are you really feeling inside? And there's obviously there's moments and times where it's appropriate to release the emotions and all of that. Find those ways to release it, whether it's fitness, deadlifts, going for a hike, punching a pillow, going to a boxing class, doing something really physical to shift that energy. Because like I said, we do feel those feelings and emotions. We can't help that. I don't think I've ever seen a neutral person ever yet. I don't think there may be some sort of feeling and emotion that does pop up. And it's figuring out what's resourceful and unresourceful on how you express it.
I actually saw you doing lots of gym and so on, like being you do pretty much a lot. I saw you when I've been watching your social.
Yeah, and I'm living with, at the moment, I have some injuries. And a lot of people would go, oh, I've got a sore knee, can't go to the gym. Oh, I've got a sore back. I actually have a sore knee and a sore back. I've gone and done dried needling. They've said, just make sure you do light weights. But I know how important it is for movement. I've learned a lot about movement. I've learned if you stay stuck in that energy, it creates worse problems for you. So it's good just to move your body and have that movement. So this trip has taught me also to do a lot more stretching. I'm not getting any younger. I'm getting a little bit older each year. 42 years young right now. Or as I say to people, because I live with undiagnosed dyslexia, I'm 24, if you do the numbers.
Wow.
So you switch it around, I'm 42. So, I'm really listening to my body and what it needs as well. And I think that's important for a lot of people too. What does your body actually need? How can you be grateful for all the parts of your body as well? A lot of people take bodies for granted. There are a lot of people with additional needs and circumstances out of their control that they can't move the way that they can. Man, we're pretty lucky that we've got 2 arms, 2 legs. Our body is very able to do the things that it does. Be grateful for all of that too.
Yeah, super awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was just my pleasure to have you. Last question I have prepared for you, and like most of the people that I'm interviewing, I usually asking this question, and I would love to ask you that question also. And that is, if this would be your last interview we would ever done, what would be your message to those people that you would like to leave behind you
So my last message ever
on the interview?
Remember, gratitude is the best attitude. Peace out. Keep it nice and simple.
So good. Yeah, totally. Well, where people can find you to support you, join you, or work with you?
So people can find me at Alicia Wade, Alicia Anne Wade on Facebook. I do have an author speaker page as well, www.aliciawade.com.au. Instagram is aliciawade.gratitude, I think it is, and Dr. Gratitude on TikTok, and I'm also on YouTube as well. And if you Google me, you'll be able to find me as an author. So Google have listed me as an author, which was a big surprise to me. I found out about 6 months ago, and I went, whoa, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I am an author, and I love that it's been there. So yeah. And if anyone has any questions or burning desires to get in contact with me, I am available. You can private message me. My details are there. I'm happy to chat with anybody who is out there and touched by this story.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I love it so much. You're amazing. And for everybody who's listening, if there's something in you, don't ignore it. Share with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review. And remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You were born to be free. Bye, everybody.